Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful dashboard on my screen. Oh, sorry, don't click off. Not actually this one. Finally, here we come. This is the dashboard we are going to be building today. Let's see what insight we're going to be getting from the data we have. So on the data we have, we're going to be actually extracting those particular insight from it. So you can read through to see exactly what we are about to get into. The next thing is for we to actually have a nice color on our dashboard. So with these particular colors we have right here, those are the color exactly our report or dashboard is going to carry. So with these colors, we are going to create something as great as this in PowerPoint just to make sure we have a nice report. As you can see, this is very dynamic. So watching my creation will definitely show you why we have this heat map right here. So this heat map is talking about the average wait time, and we gave the caption here to tell exactly what the end users needs to know about the colorway fields for this and all of that. So when we change this right now to something like this, it's going to give us something different. Can you see it now? Beautiful, huh? So we can decide to check for people who visited the hospital in the morning, or we use the PM to check people who visited the hospital around the evening and stuff like that. So when you click on this, you can see our dashboard changes and respond to filter exactly the way it should be. You get it? So this is exactly how it is. So we try as much as we could to highlight the most important part here, which is the month we have the highest visit and the month we have the lowest visit, just to make sure our line chart look much more beautiful and all of that. So enough of this talk, let's do the creation together. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, share, and leave a comment. Let me know what you feel about this. All right, let's go ahead and get our data. So you can actually use this particular part to actually fetch the data you want to use. So if your data is actually part of those ones, so you can actually use either of those ones you have right now. So we are looking forward to getting data from CSV. So we can actually go into get data, and here we have text/CSV. Click on it. So it lands you here. So here comes the data we are going to use for this particular project. Then I go ahead and actually click on open. All right, welcome to the Power Query environment. This is where you have your data cleaned and transformed. So the very first thing you're going to do is to actually investigate your data and see the quality of your columns. That is where you actually go ahead and turn on this particular column quality. So that would be under this view here. So now, what do you do with this? If you actually look around, you can see here it's giving you 100%, which means there is no error and there is no empty. You can just look around and see what it is. Let us look at this particular part here. This part says we have 28% valid and no error, but we actually have 72%, empty. So the question you might have in mind is, what am I going to do to this to make it some kind of 100%? There is nothing you can do. Leave it the way it is. Don't replace the null with anything. That means this is actually a patient satisfaction score. So it means 72% of the people that visited our hospital did not rate us. So we're going to leave it like that. So scrolling to this particular end again, we'll definitely we have this here where it says patient admin flag. So this is what you might be having issues with when working with data. Specifically, if you have not worked with this kind of company before, it will be hard for you to read all the columns to understand what is going on. So we have 100% valid, but what is the meaning of true and false? So you have to communicate with your manager or whoever is involved, your client, to tell you what each and every column is, or you will have a data dictionary. So let's say we don't have anybody to actually assist us with that. I'm going to actually help you now using AI. So what do? We can actually use AI to tell us what this particular column is and what we can get from it. will be easily, derived. So how do we do that? We're going to use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT does not actually take in huge amount of data. This data is huge. We have over 500 rows here. What do? We can reduce this row to just 10 rows. Go ahead and click on home, and from home you see where it says keep rows. Then use this particular keep top rows. So we have to specify how many rows we want to keep. We want to keep 10 rows. Don't be panic. We're going to bring the remaining rows back. So once you have this, what do? You Control A. So once you Control A, it highlights everything for you. Then we Control C to copy. We've just copied this to our clipboard. Then we can release this. So remove under apply it step, just remove this particular keep first row. Then we have all the full data back. So it is the time to head onto the GPT. All right, here in GPT, I have a prompt already. The prompt says, in a tabular form, create a data dictionary from the data set below. So what am I going to do? I'll hit Shift Enter key to paste in the data I have copied. Then if I hit my Enter key right now, this is going to help me to create a data dictionary from this data that explains what each and every one of these column is. So if you look at it here, it's giving us everything we need to know about this. So this is where we are really much interested in. So it says Boolean indicating whether the patient is an admin. You got it now. So what is it talking about here? So this is the part we are trying to actually on this. Okay, not this part. This is the part you're trying to understand here. So what it is saying? It says patient admin flag. Boolean indicate whether the patient is an admin, which means whether the patient is a staff of the what? Of the hospital. So in my country, we have a hospital that is actually a custom hospital. So this custom hospital, if you're a custom staff, even if you're not a direct staff, maybe your father is a staff, or is a custom, or is actually part of the health, individual right there. So your cost will be lesser compared to somebody who has no any connection to staff. You understand? Or if you're actually part of NHS. NHS is just like an organization that actually gets your money every single month to help you subsidize your hospital bill when anything happens. That is what NHS is. So this is exactly what this particular part is talking about. So in case you're not some kind of satiated, with what you have as a data dictionary, you can further prompt the system, like add a new column to what? To explain the description. So this is going to actually add a new column to this to further explain the description you have here. You understand? So that you can actually have much more understanding than what we just looked at. So now it's telling you true if the patient is an admin and false if otherwise. So if the patient has admin privilege, it will be true. If the patient does not have admin privilege, it will be false. Now we have learned this. How can we use this? It's very important. So on that part, you should actually consider looking at and understand what it is actually departmental refer here. Under this department refer is actually telling us here that department to which the patient is referred, if any. So the medical department to which the patient is referred, if possible. So it depends on what brought the patient into the hospital. Maybe you have eye problem, so you have to see a doctor that is specialized under that particular, condition. That is what it is. So now that we have looked at this here, it is time for we to head back to Power BI and specifically Power Query to start looking at how to transform the data. All right, now if you look at here, we have this column that contains date, time, and the PM and the AM. So we don't actually want the time, we want the date. But before we actually format it to what we want to extract a particular part of it. So I'm going to actually click on my add column here. Under add column, I go to extract. So before you use this particular part of it, you have to be very sure that what you want to actually extract is consistent. So what am I talking about? My AM is 2 characters. So PM. So if we have like VMC, so now we cannot use this particular one and this one to extract it because there is no consistency. So understand that. So I'm going to choose last character. So for the last characters, I want to retrieve the last 2 characters because it's consistent. Then I'm going to click on this. Here we go. We have it, the AM and PM. So all we just have to do is to rename it to something that would actually make sense. So we're going to choose moment here. Then I can go all the way back here and now turn this into a date instead of date and time. Beautiful. We have it. I think there is nothing more to be done here. For now, we are cool. We are good to go. We can start going. Okay, one more thing before we go. What if you want to analyze with the patient name? We might have one patient named John in the last name. So what can differentiate that particular, the first John from the second John and third John is actually their initial if you don't have the first name. So what you can do now is to actually make sure you actually combine them together. To combine them, don't do it under add column. Go under what? Go under transform. And you're going to see where it says merge column here. So for the delimiter, you use space, and over here we type what? We type full name. Then we can click on OK. So there we have it. All right. With all of this, we have one more thing to do before we go. I don't like to keep my data with this kind of name. Data sets. So I have updated it. All right. The next thing is for me to actually click on my home and close and apply. All right, now we have our data right in here for us. Look at it. If I open it up right now, we have all the columns. And if I come right here, you can actually see the physical table right in here. So this is exactly what it is that we are looking forward to seeing. Okay, very simple data. What do we do first? We need to actually create a table where we can store all our measures right in without actually combining our measures in this table. So we click on what? We click on enter data. You can decide to actually create a measure to create a table, but this is actually much more easier. So I'll do calculation. So now we just bring it into Power BI. So we have a table that is actually a disconnected table from this. It does not have any connection. All we just want to do is creating our measure in it. Okay. What is the first measure we want to create? The first measure we want to create is actually counting how many patients that we have over time. All right. So we click on new measure here. So with the new measure being clicked on, we are going to name this. So let me just zoom closely for you to see what I'm doing. So we just name this total patients. So with total patients, all we have to do is to count our rows. And which rows? We're counting the rows inside our full table. I'm talking about a patient data set. So if I type patients here, if I want to do that, I would have to use a function. And the function is nothing but count rows. So the count rows function would be looking for what? Would be looking for a table. If you're just joining this particular tool, like you're actually using Power BI for the first time, this is where you have to be paying attention. pay attention to the IntelliSense here so that you can know what it is you have to supply to count rows before count rows return what you want to return. And immediately you read this particular part, it will definitely give you the idea of what you will be having back when you actually provide to it a table. It will give you the count of rows in your table without any exception. All right. So what is the table? The table is actually patient data set. Here we go. So I'll go ahead and click on enter. So that creates the numbers of my patient for me. Then we can push this into a card. If you look at it now, it's okay. We have the numbers. If you want to verify this, we don't have huge amount of data. We can always go back here and we click on this. So we can see we have the count of rows. Can you see beneath here? This is where we have it. So if what you have there is different from what you have here, which means what you have written as a DAX code is wrong. So there is one more thing. We need to actually add what? We need to add a comma separator. To do that, go back and click on the measure you have created. So once you click on it, you're going to actually have this particular part. You use the comma separator on it, then that will definitely separate this for you in 1000. All right. Remember that particular true and false that we have. So it is time for we to make sense with it. What are we trying to do? So we're trying to actually look at those people that actually have admin privilege and those people that does not have admin privilege. So how do we do that? So first of all, let us just make this some kind of stay here. Then we add a new measure. So we are not looking forward to showing the numbers. Instead, we want to show the percentage of people with admin schedule and non-admin schedule or privilege. So what I'm going to do is actually say here percentage administrative rather. Schedule. All right. So here we go. So what I'm going to do right now is to actually divide. What? I'm going to divide. So inside my division, if you pay attention now, I've told you always pay attention to the IntelliSense and know what it is that you need to. For the numerator here, I'm going to actually filter my what? I'm going to filter my main table. And when I filter, I want to actually count how many people actually have administrative privilege or were scheduled under administration, wherever. So that is where we have true and false. So I'll use count rows. Inside these count rows, I'm going to actually tell count rows that you're going to count this particular table called patient dataset, but not all. You have to actually make it a specific row or some specific rows. I'll use filter to filter how many rows I want to count. So filter will be asking me for a table. If you read IntelliSense here, it's a table. So I'll put this patient here. So the second one is the filter expression. Please always use this part to guide yourself through what you need to provide next. Okay, that is the expression. The expression now will be a column. And what is that column? Column will be our patient flag. So here we go. Patient admin flag here. So we want it where it is equals to true. So if you look at it, I did not place my true inside quotes like this. That was because, Power BI is able to understand true and false without placing them inside quote. Otherwise, if we are trying to actually find maybe male gender, we have to place our male or our female inside the bracket. So here you don't need to do that. Just type in your truth, Isaac. So once we have done this now, this is actually going to be closed here. Then we put a comma. Sorry, we close this. First of all, we close for our filter. Now we close for our controls, and we place a comma. So the denominator now would be the whole of our patients, which we have before. That will go to be our a measure we've created, which is the total patients right here. Then we go ahead and close for our divide. So this will definitely create the administrative schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and Ctrl C to copy. So I've copied this. I have to format this one into a percentage. Then quickly, before we actually look at what we have done, let's go ahead and create a new measure. So inside this new measure, I will have this paste in. So instead of me having administrative schedule, I will have non-administrative schedule like this. Okay. Then instead of we having true here, we'll be having false over here. So you get it. That is all you just need to change. Then you hit the enter key and convert this into a percentage. All right, it is time for me to bring this into a card. So if I bring this in, it's going to show in a percentage. You look at that. So we have 50.04% of people under administrative schedule. Then we bring the second one, which gives us 49.96%. Can you see it now? So before we start making this look much more beautiful as a dashboard, just like this particular one we have right here. So we have to create all of this analysis first and look at it if it is working before we arrange and create a beautiful report just like this. All right, we are going to add a new measure. What will this measure calculate? We want to actually look at our average, satisfaction. Very important. So understanding our average satisfaction is very important. So what do? We just use a DAX function that actually helps us to wipe off all the blanks. Is very important. Remember, we have blanks. Let me be done writing this particular DAX code. I'm going to show you the column involved, how it looks like, and why you should do what you're about to do. Otherwise, you can just use average and average the column and you're good to go. So if I do average satisfaction score, so I'm going to do equals here. Then I'm going to use the calculate function to actually have this done. Then for the calculate function, the expression, I will skip that first and I will use what? I will use average. So the average is looking for a column. What do we want to actually average? We want to average this particular patient. So it's going to be patient average, the score here, patient satisfaction score here. So I'm going to close this and place a comma. So it's asking us for filter. That was why we have the calculate here. Otherwise, this particular part has actually done the job for us. This line here has done the job for us. But because we want to filter this particular patient data set table, I mean this whole table right here. So for that, we need to actually use the calculate function. If you know the functionality of the calculate function inside the DAX measure, you wouldn't argue this because it actually helps you to change the filter context. So what filter context are we trying to change now? We're trying to remove where we have blanks. We don't what? We don't want to some kind of average it. So we want to remove where we have blanks. So the next thing I do is actually say, okay, for my patient satisfaction score here, we want only where we have values. So I'm going to use this as not, which means where it is not blank is where we want to average. I'll do this. So I am going to do this and do the other one. So which means I can just copy this particular one here and Ctrl-C just to show you the difference between this one and the other one we're going to create. So once we are done, we can hit our enter key. We have just created our average satisfaction score of our patient, how satisfied they are with our services. All right, I'm going to bring this in to a card. This is what we have. Please look at this. And let's go ahead and actually create a new measure. I wouldn't give this measure a name, but it's going to do this something similar. Here we go. So I'll hit my enter key. Then I can push this into my card again. So can you see the difference now? Now let's go to the table view and take a look at the table involved. Inside this particular table, we have a column which is the average patient satisfaction score. If you look at it, with what you are seeing now, the column seems to be some kind of blank, but it's not totally blank. We have some values here. So the score starts from 0 to 10, and we have blanks. If you want to see the blanks now, I can actually go ahead and do this. And here we go, we have blanks. So look at what we have as some kind of guide to our blanks over here. So we have over 9,000 rows. And here we have 6,699 filtered rows, which is the blank that we have. Can you see? That is exactly what it is. So we don't want to account for the blank when we do our average. So for that, we have to filter it. So we filtered it in here and it's giving us 5.47. So the one that does not use filter of blanks away is now giving us 4.99 as an average of satisfaction, which is not correct. So can you see that now? Okay. We want to now get how many persons did not actually rate our services or when they visit the emergency room. So we want to actually account for that. And what we want to do now is actually showing the percentage of people who did not actually rate before they leave. So I'm going to come back to here. Now we don't need to keep this. I can just get it off. So I'm going to say percentage of what? Of no rating. So for the percentage of no rating, what I'm going to do now is type in a variable here. Inside a variable, I'm going to name the variable no ratings. Okay. So for this no ratings, what I'm going to have is using the calculate function here to find out who are those people that does not or that do not rate our services. So I'm going to calculate what? Calculate the total patients. Then when I calculate the total patients, I will change the filter context by filtering for my patients where we have the average, the patient or satisfaction score to be equal to blank. So we can now come back and close for our calculate. That is that. So we can now do return. So for the return, we can do divide. So we divide what? We divide our variable, which is number of no ratings. Number of ratings. So yeah, number of no rating. We do that by what? By the total patients. Or we can call it total visits or visiting, whatever it is. So here we go. This gives us like 70, based on what we saw on Parkery. I think it's 75%. So just go ahead and format this into a percentage. Can you see that now? This is the numbers of people that did not actually rate us. So we don't know why, but we're going to find out why in no time and see where are they from. So there are so many things we can actually put into consideration while doing this. So do you see this now? So the next thing we have to go with now is to actually check the average wait time of those people that actually visited us. Do they stay longer before they were attended to or not too long? So I'll come over here and create a new measure. So in this particular column, there is no blank. So all we have to do is to actually type in here average wait time. So what we need to do is just to use the average function here, and we average patient, that is gonna be, oh no, this is it here. We just flopped it. Let me see. Do we have that column? Average wait time. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have it here. So we have a column that can represent that. That is the wait time here in minutes of our patients. So if we bring it into a card now to look at what it is that we have, we're going to have something like this. That is 35.23 average minutes they waited in the emergency room before they were attended to. You get it now. All right, let us create with this now, we can actually create our first chart ever. And that chart is going to actually look at the satisfaction of our rating, which is average satisfaction score here, and as well average wait time here. What are we trying to investigate? We have a column. This column is called patient's race. So the patient's race now is if the patient is black, if the patient is actually talking about this one here. So if I open it up right now, you see this. So if the patient is actually African American, Asia, the client identity, which is those patients that did not fill that particular part to identify where they are from and all that. So we want to know, where do we have high rate of satisfaction and low rate of satisfaction? And as well, where do we have high rate of wait of average wait time, whatever. So we go back here. So now we are here. I can actually create a heat map for that. So if I click on this helps me to create a heat map. So which you can drag over here, make it as big as you want for you to actually look at it in detail. So in this heat map, the very first thing I'm going to do is to actually bring in my patient's race. So I have my patient race here. So what we want to look at first is actually the average wait time. So for the average wait time here is not making a lot of sense for now. We need to actually add a column. So what will this column do? This column would look into which particular age group has the highest average wait time or the low average wait time. So we need to actually add that. We don't have that here right now. Okay, let's get back to the back end here of our data. So we have this particular column called patient age. We have our patient age here. We can't use it. It's going to look some kind of awkward when you try to use it. So what we need to do right now is to group this age. So to get that done, click on new column. So this will definitely add a new column for you. The column is giving us an error. Don't worry about that. All right, on the new column here, I'm going to actually call this age bucket. So for the age buckets, I'm just going to straight up use the switch function. So it's going to be switched through. So comma. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to say the patient age here, if it is less than or equal to 10. So what do? We want to categorize them into 0 to 10. You get that? That is 0 to 10. So please place it inside quotes, 0 to 10. Then to avoid writing this over and over again, I can place my comma here and just go ahead and copy this. So just recycle through this. Okay. Now, what we need to change now is this particular part. Here we make it 20. So we can make this one 11 to 20. So right here, we're going to make it 30, which means we have 10 interval, right? So we're going to make this one 21 to 30. All right, this is what we do. We have just done this, and anything that is not between this particular from 10 to 70 here. So we're going to categorize, anybody under that to 70 plus. So we go ahead and close our switch. So we have actually, grouped the age. Now, here we go. So we can now use this inside our dashboard. So what do? We have to push this particular age bucket in the column area here. So go ahead and move it here. So can you see it now? So there you go, you have this. All right, the very first thing we're going to do after gotten this done is to make sure we use a color to tell the story. But one thing is this, I want to be able to switch between my average satisfaction and average wait time. In that case, what do? Which means we can't use this measure. We need to create another measure, but we don't have to write a single DAX code to do that. So we can actually allow the system to help us do that. Go to this modeling here and click on this, your new parameter. From there, click on fields. So you're going to have this. So you can name this one to anything you want. So I might leave it to parameter because I'm not going to create many of it. So you can rename it. I've just said that. So when we go here now, we have the average satisfaction here. It's now in this box where we have add reorder fields. Then we want to keep in our average wait time. So with this now, we can add a slicer. So it has been added for us. Before we can see it, let us leave this particular view. Okay, automatically it brings us here. So we go back to this particular part here now, and let's go ahead and take a look at what we have done. So here is it. So this is what the system generated for us automatically, a measure with a table at the same time. So I want to actually I want to change this. I want to remove this particular part. So for the average, I would love to use this AVG for average. You get it? Then I will come over here. I will use the same thing to make it short. So here we go. We are done. We can hit our enter key. So in this table, we have parameter, which is the name of our measures. So we have parameter fields, which is what? The measure we brought in, and we have order. So we're going to use this particular 0 and 4 in subsequent time to come. But for now, let's just go back and take a look at what we can do with this. All right, now that we're here, we're going to update this. Just click over here and update your patient's average wait time here. So update it to what? Go to the parameter and bring in this particular parameter here. So now it's looking ugly. Can you see? A lot of it. So why do we have this? That was because we have not made any selection. So we have to select one of it. So for you to avoid this particular kind of view, what you have to do is to click on your, slicer and go over to here under format. Then you go over to slicer settings and you go to selection. Then you actually make sure you check this particular single selection. Automatically, it select one for you. So we can switch between that and this. Do you get it now? So right here, we have the color we're going to be using. So here is the colors we're going to be using for our project. So all I'm going to do is actually copy the color code from here. You need to see that. So you're going to actually receive this. You can decide to choose a different color to create your own report. It's your own choice, but I've just given you the privilege to have this color from me. So this is how we want to actually create our chart. So on this particular chart you have here, we call it heat map. So when we select average wait time, you can look at this. It says the darkest green on the scale donates low wait time on the age group. And as well, the race. You understand? Then when we select this particular average satisfaction here, it changes to what? Patients are most satisfied when the scale shows the darkest green on the age group. You get it? So now, which means when we come to white, the white race, so we have from 31 to 40 and 41 to 50, then 61 to 70 to be highly satisfied, followed by this. Now, let's go to African American. I think they are actually more satisfied with what I'm saying now. So which means the average satisfaction has nothing to do with race and all of that. So that is what this is telling us. We want to actually replicate exactly what we have here right now. How do we do that? Okay, first off, we go all back to here. So we're right here. Let me give you this view. So with this view now, the very first thing I'm going to do is that I want to remove my row and column total. So we have them here and here. We don't need to keep them. So we are now left with this. So if I scroll a bit down, so I will see where it says cell element. I'm talking about this one here. Click on it. So now that we are here, we have two different measures. We are actually on one. We always see this when we switch using the parameter we created over here. So I'm going to turn on the background color. I have something like this. So I'll go to what? Go to FX here. Then come right here. So what are we doing now? We are doing the average wait time. So for the average wait time, what do we actually want to show? How do we want to format it? So what we want to do now on the average wait time is that for the average wait time, we want the darkest scale or the darkest green on the scale to donate low wait time. I want to show in that color that actually signifies any way you say that color to be. Those colors represent where we have high amount of wait time. You get it now. So click on this particular FX here and it brings you here. So for the low, we're going to click over here and click on the more color here. So we have our color code to be this, which is going to be 01575C. This is the kind of color we want to use, just like what you've seen previously. So we go with this. So we want to add a midpoint, which is this one here, a mid color. For the mid color now, we're going to select this one for where we have high wait time. We click here, we select this one where we have high wait time. Then I go ahead and click on what? Click on OK. Do you see it now? So anywhere you see green, which means we have low wait time. Let's compare it. The lowest wait time we have is actually 32.53 average wait time. So the highest wait time we have is actually 40.07, which is this one here, under 70 and above. This is what we want to create. So once we have done this, we are not trying to show the figures. We are not interested in the figures. We are interested in the patterns, mostly the scale of the color. What do? We click on what? Click on font. When we click on font, we go right here. We choose the same color, starting from here. Go to more. That will give you 01575C. Then we add the middle color again. We choose this same color. Try to remember the colors you're using, then this would work better. Then we click on OK. Now, this is what we have. So anybody can actually come to this now and look at like, where do we have the highest wait time? But nobody can tell what this is all about until we make it some kind of much more readable. And how do we make it much more readable? That is why we have this part to guide us through. So whenever we make any changes from here, specifically if I change to average wait time here now, so it's telling me the average wait time, what it is. So the darkest green, which is this one, anywhere we have green that is not of this particular color here, so shows what? Shows low wait time, which is good. You understand? So we don't want to go to the hospital and spend like the whole 24 hours before we get, to see the doctor. That is what it is. So we go back now. All right, we're back here. Now with this, we want to choose our average satisfaction. So for average satisfaction, this is what we have. So for our average satisfaction, we just have to scroll all the way down and we turn this on. We go right here. So we do now we want to see where we have maximum average satisfaction. This one is not going to be under low. So we click here and we do the same thing. When I say we do the same thing, I'm talking about the color we want to use. So it's going to be the same color, 01575C. Okay? This is it here. You can copy it if you want to reuse it. You know what it is. So we want to create a midpoint. That midpoint should actually carry the same color. So here we go. So over here, we want to donate for it white. Let's find out. This is how it looks like. So anywhere you see the darkest green, that is where we have the highest average satisfaction. So remember, we have to turn off the numbers. So we just use this part here. And when we click on here, we do the same thing. So we have the color copied before. So we come down to here, add a midpoint. So we get the color. Then for this here, we choose this white. Then we go over here and click on OK. Then we have this. So do you look at this now? Before we start brushing up this, for now, we're going to actually have this here. So we'll actually be cleaning up this and making it much more beautiful and stand out in no time. But this is what you should actually know how to create for the first time. You understand? All right, we want to create one other chart. And this chart would look into different kind of people we have. So I call the previous one age buckets. This one, I am going to call it age group. So we group our age in different ways other than this. All right, what we are trying to do on our age group, we want anybody who actually visited our hospital that is actually less than or equal to 2 to be categorized into what? Infant. So anyone that is actually less than, which is going to be less than or equal to 6. So we want to categorize them on early, childhood. early childhood. So if anybody is actually less than or equal to 12, so we want to categorize them into middle childhood. Then anybody who is actually less than or equals to what? 18, or you know what it is. So they are going to be categorized to the teenage. Otherwise, we want to categorize any other persons into what? Into adults. So we can now know those group of people, how many of them do we have coming into our hospital. We can further use it to filter our data to know their satisfaction rate and their average wait time as well. You get it? So now let's get back to our main part of the work. We're right here. We add a new column. So we're going to just use some couple of switch or if. Either of it will go. So I will name this one to be my age group. So for the age group here, I would use if. So you can just make it some kind of a bit more way to refer back to it. So make it somehow simple for we to stop, or using table over and over again. We can store our column inside a variable. So this variable will be patient, use the underscore, patient what? Age. So equals here. So I'm going to use patient age So here we have it. So we have stored our patient age there. So we can now come down here now and say if. So before we do this, we have to return. So under the return here now, we can use the if condition to say if underscore patient age is less than or equal to 2. So we want to categorize anybody in this bucket into what? Into infants or infancy. Then we put comma. So we nest under if again. So we say if underscore patient age is less than or equal to 6. So we categorize anybody under this particular age bracket into early childhood. So we place a comma, we type in another if. So we say if underscore age patient age here is now less than or equal to 12. That will give them their middle, so middle childhood. Then if anybody again using the variable created is less than or equal to 18. So those are going to be our teenagers. So otherwise, we want to categorize the remaining one into adult. So we close for this if, we close for this, we close for this, and we close for the first if. Here we go. So you might, there are different ways to actually indent this. I can just drop all of this. You just drop all of this. It depends on how you want it to go. So this is much more readable. Can you see that now? So if I hit my enter, this helps me to create and group all of those people. So you can see now, if you look at here, 70 plus under adult, 11 to 20 is under teenager. You get it now, 11 to 20. So if you want to get it right, So you actually go ahead and filter teenager here. Then you go to the age. For our teenager under age, we just see it's 13 to 18. That is correct. So we've just done that. So before you do this, you have to do your calculations to know how they should actually fall. You don't just start writing and it will come the way it is. No, you have to actually do your calculations. So we've done this. Let us look at what we can use this for. I would definitely remove this. I'm going to remove this for now. Then I'm going to get this off for now. So we create a chart with that. So the chart we're going to create, if we want to go with this chart, let me tell you the disadvantage of using this chart to actually visualize something like this. Let's go over here. And I'm going to go to age bucket this time. Or the age bucket. I think that is going to be our age group. So here is our age group. And I want to say it by total patients that we have. So now, if I want to make sure it actually occupies this small space here, so our x-axis is not going to be readable. So it has to take up to this level before we can read what is here. So we want to actually use a small space with this in order to have other charts, sit in the report. Then definitely, if I compress it, it's still not okay. So what do? I would rather use this chart to convey my message. So this looks beautiful, but it's not looking nice at all. What do? We clean it up and it will definitely look okay. Watch it. So I click over here. If you're still watching and you have not liked, please hit the like button. It's very important to me. And if you've not subscribed, you might want to consider hitting the subscribe button right now. So leave a comment, let me know what you feel about this. On a continuation, we can actually come over to the y-axis first. And we scroll down a little bit. We actually turn off the title. So when we scroll back up, we have the x-axis here. For the x-axis, we have to turn off the title and as well the value. So it's looking much more okay. But something is still wrong. If you look at what is wrong right now, is that this particular y-axis here is not in any way somehow readable. So how do we fix this? We have to fix this under the y-axis. Let's find out. As soon as we are here, we can bring up the y-axis. So what you're going to change is this one here in order to correct all of these that are not appearing well. Let's do it. So just move this to 50%. If I bring this to 50%, this is what you have. If I bring it to middle, you still have something a little bit weird. So bring it to 50%. So with 50% now, you can see when we move this now, before it affects this, is some kind of cool. So it will take time. This is what we want to have on it. Can you see that? Beautiful. So you might want to stretch it a little bit and make it like this. So after having this now, we want to have a line chart that displays our visits or total patients that we have every single month. Over here, we can see the kind of line chart that we have displaying our visit. And my most important part is marking this particular part. So this part here, what is it showing? I'm talking about this very part here. This part here shows the highest month we have more people visiting us or visiting our hospital. We have more emergency. And this is the lowest month. So we did this to be able to draw people's attention into those particular 2 months. This is not just a line chart. You have to customize it using DAX. This is what we're about to create right now on our project. Let's get it. In order to create that, we need a simple date table. If I talk about simple date table, we don't have to spend much time. So we just have to create a table. And in this table, all we do is just to create what? To create date. So I'm going to come right here and just say date. So inside my date, I'm going to use calendar auto. So this calendar auto helps me to generate my date. So if I hit my enter key now, let's see what calendar auto has done for us. This is what we have. Then we need to add some columns to our calendar auto. So we come over here and use the add columns. So when we use the add columns above calendar auto, we put a comma right here and move down, and we say we want to add year inside this square, or inside this particular quotes rather. So we type in here to extract the year, and comma, we use the year function. And date, that's going to be the date column. So the date we have here now, if you look at it, is different from this particular, date. This date is actually a function. So this one here is actually a column, and this is the column we have just used here. So which is the one inside the square bracket. So we have a date here. So I'm going to grab this. I'll close it. The next thing I want to do now is to extract my month. So I will do month. I'll do comma. So I'm going to do what? To extract my month, what I need to do now is to use format. Do this. Format. And for the format now, we need a date. So we want the month to be a short format. So we use triple M. Then we are done with this. I can close my format. I'll place another comma again. I will now actually do for what? I want to actually get my weekend and weekdays. How do I do this? So I'm going to type in here week type. So for the week type, what we're going to do right now is to say if. So using the if function, so we're going to actually ask the if. We have what we call weekday. So the weekday returns numbers. So those numbers would actually range from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of that. So 1 is always a weekend and 7 is a weekend. In case you don't understand that, let me just return that over here now. Then you see what it is before we definitely do this. So I'm going to say week type. So week type. So for my week type now, we use weekday function. We supply the date in here, and I will go ahead and close it. So now I'll close my add column. I'll hit my enter key to extract this first before we move further. So if you look at my week type here now, it's telling me that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get it? Then I'm going to extract one more. So this one will be my weekday. Then for my weekday now, I will use the format. For the format, we need the date. Right here, we did to have the shorter form. So I'll hit my enter. So let us look at what every one of those numbers are attributed to. 3 is for Tuesday. Then 7 is for Saturday. And 1 is for Sunday, which is weekend. We're going to use 7 and 1 to actually customize our week type here. So for our week type here, we don't want to keep it. We don't want to keep the numbers. Instead, we just extract what? Extract the week type, either weekend or weekday. So we're going to use if over here. So we're going to say if, calling the function weekday here. If the weekday, how do we extract the weekday? We extract the weekday with date is equals to 1. So we have to close our date first, close the bracket. So now it's equals to 1. So what do you want? If that is the case, we want weekend. Then we close, then comma. So we nest under if again. If weekday, the date. So we close, and now it's equals to 7. So we still call this what? We call this week end. Otherwise, it will be what? It will be weekday. So look at it. Oh no, we have an error somewhere. Let's see what that falls to. Equals to 1. That gives us this. So if the week date is equals to 7, we have this weekend again. And right here. Oh no, we closed one if, we didn't close the last if. So we have to place in the bracket here and now hit our enter key. That would definitely correct this for us. It doesn't. Yes, it should be. So we have to remove this one here that the system automatically placed here. The system went ahead to help us close it, but it did it in the wrong direction. So now we have two types of week here. It's either it's a weekend or it's a weekday. So for our weekend, let us try to look at that. So we have weekend to be Sundays. So if I come over here now and just do Saturday and Sunday here, so it falls under weekend, which makes it correct. So we can clear the filter from here. Clear the filter. So let us go ahead and take a look at what we have done here. First of all, before then, we have to go all the way to the back end and try to connect our tables together. Let's move the table here. Those are the two tables that can have connections. So we're going to connect our table, which is this very one here now, to this. So we have the date column here on our main fact table. We can drag it and put it on top of this particular date. So we have created one-to-many relationship, or many-to-one relationship rather. So we come over here now. Let us bring in something like going to date. So we bring in the year. So the year is summarized for us. So we can now choose this particular sum and we say don't summarize. So it's giving us 2 years of data. We can now try to look at it. If this is really correct, we pull in our total patients. So it gives us this. Can you see it now? Beautiful. But something would happen. I'm going to remove this now and convert this to a table. Instead of me having my year, I'll bring in my month, which is going to be this one. So if you look at my month, something is a bit wrong here. So that is because my month is starting from April and my month ends at what? At September. So we are supposed to start the month with January and the month should end in December. That is not the only thing that is wrong with this date. Let me show you something else. So clicking on it, I'll go ahead and grab my date, my main date, not the other columns, this one. So my date is still just like the default date that Power BI has for us. So we have to change the look. How do we do it? We have not actually told Power BI to stop using its own way of date format for us. So we need to do that, telling Power BI that we have our own date table. So go all the way to here. So we are back here again. So click on this particular table tools. And here we have mark as what? You have to mark as date table. So we mark it as date table and that disconnect the Power BI default table and replace it with ours. Just click on OK here. That problem is solved. Let's get back and look at it. Can you see it now? It's solved. But one thing is not yet done. So I'm going to come here and solve it from here. So click on the date itself here. So you now see where you can actually format your date accordingly. So I'm going to use a shorter form that will clear off the time for me. Beautiful, huh? Okay, we have one more issue to actually solve. And that issue is the issue of the month. How do we fix the month? To fix the month now, we can be here and fix it. We don't have to go back to the data view. Just click on it here. And over here, you see where it says sort by. So we want to sort this by what? By month number. Sorry for that. We do not have it. Can we create it from here? Yes, of course. I'm going to add a month number here. Just add a comma. So with a comma, I'm going to type in here month inside quotes, month num. And with a comma, I will definitely use month as a function, and I'll bring in my date. That is all we need to do. We just do this and we hit enter. So let me solve this particular issue here. And later, after all, I'm going to show you to actually, satisfy your curiosity in case you want to know what this is going to do. So click on the month and click on sort by column and go to month number here. And this will definitely start from January and it will stop at December. Beautiful. Getting back here right now, we have the month number we have added and we have 12 from January down to December. So we use this to sort this particular one. You get it? So let's get back. So we have gotten what we wanted to use. So the next thing now is to start creating exactly what we want. So I'm going to have to give you this view. Then I'm going to convert this into a line chart. Converting this into a line chart, I'll bring in my total patients into it. This gives me patient trend every single month. So now it's fine. We can easily talk about the lowest month, but can we want to be some kind of like, as soon as we see our chart, we want to tell where the max falls to. Now, if we have to tell where the max falls to now, we can be some kind of like maybe here, maybe here. Okay, maybe we might get it right here. So where does the mean fall to? Is it on this one or on this low part here? So we want to avoid guessing. We're going to actually mark this particular part as our mean. So this is going to be dynamic. When we play the filter, that filter will start shifting it to different months based on the availability of what? Of it. You get it now. Let's do it. We don't have a default formatting for that. What can we do? Let's try it. Come over to here. So you will go to line. You have our line chart. We have markers for every part of it. And our aim is to turn those markers for the max area here and the minimum area here. So which means those ones are some kind of wrong. How do we fix them and make those ones to disappear? We don't want to see them. We only want to see where we have circled, like this one and this very one here. To have that done, we have to create a custom measure for that. But it's very important to turn on these particular markers here. Okay, to do that now, let's go over here in the click in here under calculations, add a new measure. So I'm going to show you every step of this measure, what it is that you should be expecting or what it will return. Inside this measure, I'm going to name it conditional formatting CF. So max point, so equals. So I'm going to indicate it as month. Inside bracket, I'll type month, then close it. Now my equals here. So you might be tempted to use the max x function to do this, which would definitely be okay. Like if we try it, let's try that because that is what everybody might be thinking of. So over here, I'm going to actually use my max x here. Inside the max x is looking for what? It's looking for a table. And that table, I want to remove filter from it because I want to have a straight line on this. So you can use the all function. Inside the all function, we are going to use the date. So using the date now, we have a comma here. This comma is asking us for a column. So the column now will be sorry, we are using what? We are using just the dates what? The date table. So with comma, we use the column over here. The column will be our month, dates, and we use the month. So we close it. For comma, now our expression. Our expression should now be the measure we're trying to use, or we have used on our line chart that we are trying to find its max. That would definitely be total patients here. Then once we close our max and hit our enter key, so we are expecting to see a straight line, because first of all, okay, what do we have? We have, okay, let's remove this and just have column there, then hit the enter key. That should actually get this done for us. So we've cleared the error. No table, we just used what? The column. So we are expecting to see a straight line when we drop this into our line chart and we go ahead and bring this in. So it doesn't give us that. So when we hover over it, it's giving us CF, which is conditional formatting max point. It's giving us the same value all through. But let us verify something here. What if we bring this into a card? What is it giving us? It's giving us this value. So, different from this value here. So what is actually going on? If I hover over here, this is my max point. It was able to drag in and bring in my max point. Look at it. When I hover over it again, the max point fall into August, but it's not giving us what we want. So which means we cannot use this approach to do it. Let us go ahead and do the rightful thing. So now I'm going to wipe off this. And we start off by creating a virtual table. So to do that now, we have to write a variable. So this variable, we call it patient table. So for our patient table, we're going to use our calculate table to create the table we are looking for. And inside this table, we want to actually have our month, so which would be summarize. So for the summarize, it's looking for a table. We have to give it date first, then comma. Now we want to group this particular date by month, so we bring in our month here. Then we can close this. When we have closed this is okay. We want to group this by what? We want to group it by the total visit or total patients that visited our hospital. So which means we need to add another column to this. To add a new column now, we have to go above summarize here. And we use a function called add columns. So with this function add columns, we come below here. So we place a comma here and go here. And we want to add a column. I'm going to just say add to differentiate it from my other one. I'm going to say total patients. So you get it. Then I'll do this. Total patients. So if we have an issue, that issue should be what? Should be our space. Let's solve it. Can you see? If I put in my space and I come down here, I have this underline on the bracket I've closed. So by the time I go there and take off the space, so I can use underscore if I still want to have space for readability purpose, you have this. So now we still have that. What's wrong with it? Let's remove it again. Okay, that means we have something different wrong with this. Let's see. Okay, fine. That is go. So I'm going to actually have my underscore here. I have forgotten to actually place a comma here to actually give it an expression. An expression is a value, and that value is going to be nothing but our total patients in here. So what have we done? This is actually a column on its own. We have stored in this column this particular patient patient or visit. So at the end of this, we want to actually say all selected. Right. So we're done. For you to have the full understanding of what we have done here, I am going to just copy this particular part here. I'll copy it. So once I've copied it, I'll comment this one so that I will not have any error. If I hit enter and step off from here, wouldn't have any error. To do a multiple comment, you hit your control key and the slash on your keyboard, that where you have the question mark right in. That is all. Let's get back here. Now we create a new table. So inside this new table, I will go ahead and paste in the DAX code we have written here. So it's in a variable. We need to return it. So what do we return? We return underscore. So we return what? Return underscore patient table. And if I hit my enter, it should create a table for me with 2 columns. This is what we have. So we have summarized, we have brought in our month, which is using the summarize here. That is the first column we added. Then the second column is this particular one over here that populated these particular numbers. You can see at total patients. So this is what we are going to use to actually identify the max and the mean point. Let's get back to here. And now we have to click on the conditional formatting. So the next thing we have to do now is go in here, control, then we hit the slash key. So you see on your keyboard, when you have to click on the control and a key that goes this way, not the one that goes this way. No, not this one, but this one, right? So once we have this done now, we're going to actually add some other conditions here to actually set exactly what we want. So we create a new variable. Inside this variable, I'm going to call it underscore mean what? Mean value. So it will be equals to what? To mean x. The mean x is going to actually say, okay, my table, which returns the month and the values we've just seen on a physical table here. So we want to find the mean inside this particular column. That is going to be the column with the at, this one here. That at is not really important. We just put it there to be able to identify our new created column. So we close it, right? So we create another variable. So this variable will be underscore max value. For the max value here, we're going to use max x. So with the max x, we actually call the table name again. So with comma, we bring in our total patients. We close it. So individually, let us look at what it would return. If I return this underscore max value here, what should we expect? We should expect that first value we had when we did that particular, I'm talking about this one here. Then let's go ahead and verify. Can you see it now? Can you see? Because we have it over here, it's now marking it for us. But this is not what we want. We want something a bit different than this. So we have the max point here now. So what about the mean point? Let's try the mean point. So I'll go over to this. I'll return the mean point for you to see what the mean point will give us. The mean point. So the mean point will definitely give us this, and that particular line move down, and here identifies our mean point 431. Do you see this now? Beautiful. Okay, let's spicy this up a little bit. So we come under the return here. Instead of us returning this, we are going to do switch. And you switch only true. It's comma. To switch this now, what we want is actually like, okay, you know what? If underscore, oh, sorry, we have one more variable to create. That variable will be our total. That is going to be variable underscore total patients. So which is going to store in our main measure called total patients here. Then this total patient would be used to compare, like compare the mean and the max. So only when the mean and the max is equal to a particular value we have in the total patient measure that it would return something. Otherwise, we don't want to return anything. So we're going to say, okay, over here, underscore total patients is equals to what? To mean value here. Mean value. I think our value should have E. Sorry for that. So mean value here. So what we want to return, we want to return 1. Or first of all, we want to return that particular mean value. Mean value for a reason. Don't worry, you'll see why. Then, comma. So underscore total patients here is equals to what? To underscore max value. Then if that is true, return the max value to us. Max value. So we go ahead and close our switch function. And let's see what we have. So this is returning blank. And it has worked here. It has worked here. So what happens if I go over here now? So let me just put it on a focus mode. So now we have marked here with a different color. A different color. So what happens if I go ahead and turn off this? Can you see it now? That has given us this particular highlight. Beautiful. So with this now, just go ahead and hit the like button, share this to your friends and family that will need it, and leave a comment. So let's proceed. Our aim is not having this as just a dot. We want to actually have a color here. So for the max value, we want to have like a green color that signifies high point and a red color that signifies low point. What do we do? How do we achieve this? Quickly, let's get back to here. So I'm thinking of when that happens here, because what we said here is if this particular total patients has value that is equal to, remember this one is returning one single value. So this particular one single value it has here is going to find it in this particular total. When it is equal to that, to return that and to mark one point for us. So now we want to tell the system, like if this particular number that is here in the max is found here, anywhere is found in the month, we want to give a color. So let's do that. So what if I use something like in double quotes, I'll use green. Close it. So over here, I will represent this with what? With red. Red. right? Okay, my red should be just 1E. So let us hit the enter key and see what this would look like now. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Instead, it moves it off. And our aim is to actually create this and make use of it as a color. What is going on? That was why we named it conditional formatting, CF for conditional formatting. So if it is mean, we want to display 0 here. So Power BI understands number. We just put here 0. Otherwise, if it is max, we want to display what? We want to display 1. We just move this off. We display 1. So this is making our chart to look a bit ugly. Now, can you see? They both fall under here and here. We don't want this. For the time being, let us leave it the way it is right now. We're going to go ahead and come over to here and remove this from here. So we have to come back to this particular place under the formatting. Make sure you're still clicking on this. So under the formatting here, we go for, so under the formatting here, we want to actually make sure we mark the point. So that is going to be under markers. We bring this up. So we convert it to what? Convert it to a closed heart column chart. Beautiful. From here, we now go down straight up. We go to this particular column here. Then we click on the FX. So when we click on the FX, we use the rule to do this. So we come over here to select the measure under calculations. We use this particular one. So we now say if our measure max point here is equals to 0, we change this one to number. Then what we want to display is red. Then we add a new row. If it is equals to 1, what we want to display, change this one to number. It's actually a green color. There is no green color here. Click on more colors, and over here you select your green color, this part here. Then let's see this. Can you see this now? This is what you have. So it has actually marked this as the highest and this here as the minimum for us. So this actually switch. When I now adult childhood, can you see it now? So this is Africa American. So you can see it's dynamic. All right, with this now, what if, for example, I bring in a filter here? This filter is going to take in the moment we created inside Power Query. So which is the PM and the AM. So when I select PM, my max switches from where it is to June. If I go to AM, now it's in May. If I deselect it, it's going to be back to August, which makes it movable. It's moving according to where it spots the maximum and the minimum. It responds to your slicer, as I've said earlier. So we are on AM. So we want to say based on this Asia. So now very dynamic. So how do we have it as a line chart? Just go ahead and click on your line chart. It's up. It marks it for you. Then we can now come to the marker here and turn off this marker. So what do you see? So I want to use this chart. I click on this chart. You can still have it. Can you see it now? Your max and your min is being marked. So, all right. The next thing now is that I want to show the value that is peculiar to my max and my min on top of them. How do I do it? Very simple. Let's actually give it a line chart first. We have this. Okay, we come here and we click on the conditional formatting here. We have to go ahead and copy this. So create a new measure. We just make 3 changes, just 3 changes. We paste it in. The first among the 3 changes here is not more conditional formatting. This will be value. Values, max point. The second one here is to return _min. Yes, I return _min. If I return _min, this wouldn't do it. It will only return the max for me. And I want to return what? I want to return my measure. It's going to be total patients. Here, we return what? We return the total patient as well. So return the total patients. So I'm going to hit my enter key for now. So how do we actually display this? Should I just move it in? Does it work? I guess no. It doesn't. So we need to find a way to bring this in. We find a way to bring it in. So let's remove it. I'll click here. Click on our chart. Let's click here. Now let's go to data label. I'll turn on the data label over here. I'll open it up. If I open it up, my data label has just this. It's giving me all. So I'll now go here and bring in my value max point here. So if you look at it now, we have gotten it. So we'll now go back here now. Under the data label, we go ahead and choose this particular total patient here. Then we turn it off. The magic has happened. Can you see it? So we now have the value that is peculiar to max and to what? To min. What we need to do now is that the one downside is we can some kind of format it nicely the way I want it. So I can just go ahead and move down to value. So I'll go to what? To auto. I'll click none. If it is in 1000, I want to show you the 1000. I don't want it to have K or whatever it is. So if I actually want to change the color, I will. So if I put it on bold, or I decide to crank it up to look more, bold, it doesn't really reflect on it. So I'm going to leave that one like that. It's okay. So now, where do I display this? At the position, I'm going to put the position at the above. It doesn't actually respect that. No problem. So position, no. Doesn't work. So don't worry about that. So we've just achieved this. And what is next for us now is that for our line chart, we go to line chart. So here is our line chart here. So we actually move down a little bit. For line chart, we have line type. Want to use a smooth line. That makes it much more looking good. All right, we have just created this and it's looking nice. So all I have to do is to update my title. Come here, and for my title, total patients is what I'm going to have. You can type in total visit. So I'm going to do total patient visit. So now the next thing to do is for the legend, we don't need to keep the legend. We turn off the legend. So we have to actually format our line chart. So we go for the Y-axis here. quickly, for the y-axis, what we have to do is to turn off the title, then turn off the what? Turn off the value from it. Then, for the x-axis, what we're going to do right now for the x-axis, we want to make it bold. We want the month to pop out. Then we turn off the title for the month axis. So we have something like this. Can you look at that? So we don't have to keep this any longer. So we've just done this and it's beautiful on this. So I can just make it a bit smaller and push it over to this particular angle for the time being. So what about this? This calls for celebration, right? And the celebration is you hitting the like button. If you can do it a million times, I would have been happy. But just leave a comment, let me know what you actually feel about this. All right. So I want to actually show the year. So all I'm going to do now is to actually just go over here and I will get my total patients. So I'll go over to date. I'll bring it in, which is my year. So my year will do this. So if it is important for you to actually still do the same thing I've done, so all you have to do is not much. Is going over to here and this particular conditional formatting here, you just do Ctrl+C to copy. That was why I identified this one as month. The next one can be identified as year. So all we have to do is just do one single change, and that is going to be this one. So instead of month, we do the year. That is all we need to do. We don't need to do anything. Okay, sorry. One more thing. We have to make a change of this here. So the column we want to have here now is going to be the year. So I'm going to clear this and bring in the year instead of the month. I'll show you how and why. So I'll hit my enter key. I have made that change. Let's now go to the physical table that we have actually shown the other time. Clicking here. So here we have the month. This month displays, what the heck is it? That is gonna be column. Max year, sorry, where the heck is it? Okay, this table displays this. If I change this one to year, let's see what we're gonna have. So I change it to year. If I hit my enter key, where I have month would give me what? The year. Can you see? So we have the year here. So we have the total right here. This is what we have done. Then the system will be smart enough to look for the max. So it will push this one as our max and this one as our min. Very beautiful. Now that we have done that, you know the rightful thing. So we just go over to here. Why can't we do it over here? When we go to our line chart, we just go to color and click on the FX. Inside our line chart, we have a color, but this color does not have that particular, FX that we clicked on to do the conditional formatting. That was why we always go ahead and turn it into this particular kind of chart. Once we have done this, we click on the column and quickly you are going to spot what? Spot the FX here. So once we click on it, now we choose the column. So we choose the one with year. So when we choose the one with the year, we can now say, not grade, but row. So where it is equal to 0, we make sure it's equal to 0. We change this one to number. So we come here and we use red. So we add a new rule where it is equals to 1. We convert this one to number and we change this one to green. So we just select here to select the kind of green we want. Then we click OK. Now we have it. So we convert it back to a line chart. So despite that, when we actually come to a line chart, you cannot find that. We still have this the way it is, but it has actually marked this particular point for us. So now your aim is to actually format it this way. All you have to do, click on this one and in the format painter here, give it this. So you have this. Oh, now it's rubbish it for us. It doesn't really work fine. So it has taken off the conditional formatting we have on it. We have to fix this. Just Control Y to take it back. So we have this back. So we manually do our formatting here. So we turn this off. Then for the X, we just make sure we go to the value area and open it up, bold this one. It's showing fine. So we go back here and now we copy the conditional formatting for year. And instead of doing this for year, let's do value max. We just make a few changes. Then we click here to create a new measure. So I'm going to paste this in. For the value max, we put in here year to identify this. Then what do we do? Just make a change of this to the year. Now we're done. We hit the enter key. This will now extract the max year and the max month, the max year and the min year for us. Then we go back. Just remember how we did this. I can't remember again. Oh, I think I still remember it. Okay, that means we're gonna push in this particular max that has the year into what? Into here. This gives us this. Does it sound well? I don't know. Okay, first of all, let's come here and go ahead and open data label. Where are you? Here we are. We have the data label in. Go back here and push in this particular max that has the year into it. It changes the way I see this, right? It's not a problem. What do we do now? We are going to go towards to our formatting here, and we go to where we have the format for our data label. We scroll down. So we choose total here and turn it off. It has given us this. So once we have this now, we can now go over to here on this one and give it white. Does that make any sense? Give this one this color. That doesn't make any damn sense. Where do we flub? We don't want to have this color. Why are we having this particular color right away? We shouldn't be having the color. Should we be having it? So it shouldn't be affecting our visual. So which means we just turn it into the same color. Now we have one single color for all of them. It's not a problem now. So the next thing we have to do now is to scroll a little bit up and look for the legend, turn off the legend, and make it as clean as this. So once we have done this now, it is time for we to go to the title. Then here, up here, we have the title. So we come here, we move this, and we say by year. So it's going to be visit. That is all. So we have this. We can just make this as small as we like. We keep it here. So for the color, don't worry for now. We are not ready to change any color we have on it, but just don't worry. Okay, we have another chart to create. That chart will be total visit or patient visit by department referrer. So how we gonna be this chart here? So with this chart, what do we do to it? We come over to here and we select our total visit from the measures we have written to the patient's visit here. Now it's looking ugly. Let's do it. When we go over to what? Go over to our patient's data set, we look for the one that says department referrer. Wow, that is it. So now it's showing us none here. None right here. So what is this none all about? Let's say you're some kind of inquisitive. You want to know what is none. You might know of this, of this, of this, of this, this. This is based on the kind of condition that the person would have before he or she visits the hospital. You understand? But what about none? Is none a medical term or a name of a doctor? We want to know because we want to use that to create something different. So what do? This is the time to visit back our ChatGPT. So now we have to write a prompt here. Before we do that, remember we have the data set paste here. So you need to know the column you want to deal with. You get it? So if I go back here now and I click on my data, so we're going to have to look for the column involved. So here's the column, departmental referral. So for the departmental referral, we have none and we have other ones, right? So what we want to know is what is none? Then how do we prompt it? So I come over here, I type in the, so write the column exactly the way it is. Underscore what? Referral. What is the meaning of none? So GPT just helped us with it. It says in the department referral column, the value none indicates that the patient did not receive a specific referral to a particular medical department. It suggests that the patient's visit or consultation did not involve a specific department referral. He just walked in and into the medical center. That is just what it is. Now that we have known this, we are going to use this to create something very important. That was why we came here. All right, being here, the very first thing I'm going to do, let's maximize this a bit. I'm going to push it over here for now. It's Haggard. Don't worry. We're going to fix all of this when we are done creating all our charts. Then I come over to my calculations here. Inside the calculations, I'm going to actually add a new measure. So what will this measure be all about? This measure would actually be about, how do I put this? About the percentage of the people that walked in willingly on their own and the people that actually got referred to a particular, doctor, wherever, or medical line, wherever. So now what are we going to do? Over here, we're going to do the percentage of the people that do not have any referral, which is under none. So to do that now, what I will do is to use percentage of let me use the word unreferred. Unreferred. Do I get that right? Patients. So we create a variable here. Variable. So this variable, we're going to name it filter patients. So filter patients. So for our filter patient now, we're going to do calculate. So we do all our patient, total patients here, visit. So for that, we have to filter the department. So where it is equal to none. So we close our calculate. So we come forward now and do return. So under the return, we do divide. And we divide what? We divide our filtered patients. Remember, inside the filter patient, we have reduced the row in the main table to just where the patient is having none, right? So we divide it by what? By the total patients. That creates for us the percentage, right? Okay, we can convert this to a percentage, but before then, I'm going to do Control C to copy. When I Control A, then I convert this into a percentage. And after the conversion into a percentage, we are going to actually create a new measure and just make 2 changes to it. So I'm going to paste this one in here. So it will be percentage of referred patients. And over here, I'm going to use not. This is not none. So now it's going to actually create another table that would exclude none and give us where we have patients being referred. So we just do what? We just do hit the enter key. So we can convert this to a percentage as well. Now we are done from here. Let's see what it is that we have done. I can bring this into a card. So percentage of referred is 41%. So non-referred patients gives us 58%. When you add them together, they give you the total 100%. Do you see that? Beautiful. So we have just like some couple of measures to create. Maybe 3 different measures or 4, if I'm not mistaken. The very first one I'm going to create first is the one that affects this one here. So this one has this slicer. I'm going to bring it down here. So every single time we actually move this, nobody understands what is going on with this particular patterns we have inside this particular heat map we have here. How do we make it readable? Very important. We need to know that. Okay, we're going to do something now. What do we do? Let's go back to our parameter, which is the parameter we created. So here is the parameter. When I click on the parameter, what do I see? I see this. So my parameter actually has what? Has 0 for average satisfaction and 1 for average wait time. In case you don't understand this view, let me give you the table view. And under the table view, I'm going to go ahead and click on my parameter. So inside the table view, if you look at it, these 2 are some kind of hidden. They are hidden because we don't need to use them. This is the one we're going to use. So, but we can still reference them in a measure. So this particular icon here have been checked because we don't want to see them. So right now we want to use this very column. So this column has 0 and 1. So 0 is when it is average satisfaction and 1 is when it is average wait time. How do we make use of it? Let's do it. So we go over here, we click on our calculations and we click here, we create a new measure. So this measure will tell us what we see in the heat map, so that it will make it easy for the end users or the consumers to actually tell exactly what they are seeing without trying to guess what it is. All right, I'm going to name this one heat map caption equals. So with the heat map caption right now, I'm going to write variable. So this variable will be underscore what? Underscore selected measure. So selected measure, it will be equals. So what do? I want to use selected value here. So if I use selected value, I want my selected value to get in order. What is order? Order is one column among the 3 columns we have inside our parameter table. So we close it. Then I'll come over here and do return. So return what? Return underscore selected value or selected measure here and hit the enter key. First of all, we want to see what this would return to the screen. All right, let's go ahead and pick it up. Hit map caption. So it's giving us 1. When we select, here we go. When we select average wait time, it gives us 1. When we select average satisfaction, it gives us 0. Average satisfaction gives us 0. This is what it is. Now we can further use this to customize how we want the caption to look like. So go back right here. Under the return, so we're going to type if here. So if this particular selected measure here is equals to 0, which means what is selected is actually average satisfaction, then we want to actually show something like the darkest green on the what? On the scale. The notes. So on the otherwise, we actually show this particular message here. So when it's actually equal to 0, it's going to show this particular one here. So which is this very one here is going to show it. So when it is actually equal to 1, then it will display this very one we have here. So let's just look at it. I'm going to have to close my if and hit my enter key. Then 0 will change to the first condition. Now we have it. Let us look at it. So first of all, I would have to come here and go over to here. Let's turn it into 20 so we can maximize it now. So this is what we have. What happens if I use this? It changes. Exactly. So this is what we want to use on this. Let's look at the final result. Here is the final result, just like what you have seen previously. Whenever we make any changes, it's actually, change the caption that we have, and it will make the heat map very, very much readable. What about that? All right. The very part you're waiting for is actually here. That is the designing. We're going to create something that look exactly like this one right now. You always know, if you had been on my YouTube channel before now, you know how I take the view very seriously. So now we have to head up to PowerPoint. But before we do that, we have to go back here, right? First, now we're here. This is not looking fine. So the very first thing I do is to start to some kind of change what it is that we have right here. So right on this is our patients. That is the patient total view. So what I'm going to do to it right now, so we have to format it. The first format I'm going to give to it is to remove the data label category here. That gives me this. Then click on this particular callout value here. Then we're going to leave it at 47. So 47. So I'm going to change this one to a bolder font. So if I scroll down a little bit, so I'm going to have this one here. So this gives me what I want. Then for the color is to dark, I'm going to make it some kind of light. So let's go with this one for now. That is cool. So maybe later after all, we might decide to change it. So it's our own choice. So I'm going to make it this way. So remember there's a filter coming from here. If I unfilter it, I have the whole number that is going to be peculiar the way. Okay, now with this one, let's talk about this. This here, I wouldn't like to show it as well. I don't like to show the data label. I want to get them off. So after getting them off, I'm going to create my own custom data label that will stick the way I really love it. That is why I do that. So what I'm going to do now is to actually have this one on 20. That is beautiful. So I'm going to leave it at this particular font here. Then for the color, we'll adjust it later. But for now, let's do that. So I'm going to remove the category. So make it smaller. Don't worry, we'll find how we can get what is sitting there. So I'm going to push it very close to this one. If you look at it right now, it sends the major one behind. So what we're going to do is to go up and click on this. Then we click on this one here. So quickly, I'll do the same thing to this one. Nicely done. Then the next thing now is to scroll a little bit down and turn off the category and send this to 20. So we have the same size. So let's make it a bit smaller. So now this one will be somewhere around here, while this one is staying somewhere around here. So let's just make it this way. Okay, nicely done. So if you look at it, it's now making a little sense. What else could we do to this? So we have to go over to our text box here. Inside the text box, we're going to type in something we want to show that defines this and this. Now for this particular one, I'm going to type in administrative appointment. All right, I have this administrative appointment here. For you to actually format the content inside this particular box, you need to highlight it. Control A will do that for you. So I'm going to push it in the middle. You get that now? Beautiful. So now we have this on 14. Then we change this to this particular kind of font here. So we can now go ahead and change the color. We don't want something very dark. Let's go with this. So let's see what we have here. So here we go. So you can push this one over to this part. Then all I do is to actually go over to size and style here and remove the background I have on it. Then it is time for me to copy and paste it. And I'm going to drag this one over here. So all I'm just going to include on this one is going to be none. So that is it. So we just stretch this a little bit. So this is what we have. So you look at that? Beautiful. Okay. Now we have some 3 KPIs we want to show. And right now you have to be online to be able to actually display that to your satisfaction. I'm talking about this one right here. So if you look at this, we have this particular part. It's some kind of a custom visual that we need to get. I'm talking about this one here. They are actually custom visuals we need to get from the marketplace and use. So you must have access to Power BI service account before you can log in. If you don't have it, I have a video in this particular YouTube channel that can actually take you to that and see how you can create your own without, a formal working email. So the very first thing I'm going to do is here I'm going to go down here. If I scroll a little bit down, so you can see I have this visual called Sparkline by OKViz. So I'm going to show you how to get it. So click on this very get modded visuals. So once you click on it, wait for it, it's going to open the marketplace for you. So here we go. The first thing you see is the visual right at the right hand corner. So can you see this? So this is what you're going to get. So all you have to do is to just click on it. Once you click on it, it's very easy. It's going to actually move itself to your system by just clicking one single button. All right, do you see that? I'm talking about you clicking on add, then it will be added. So if you want to read about it, you can just read about what it is right here and see if this is licensed by, Microsoft. Look at it here. It's 100% free for you. You get that? Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to go back because already I have it on this visual here. So where we're going to get it now is on our main visual, on our main report. This one here does not have it. If you look at it, if I scroll down now, we did not have it here. We need to go get it. So I'm going to click on more visual. And quickly, the first thing I see, I told you, is going to be that very visual. So I click on it. So it's loading. So it has loaded up. I click on add. That will be added here for me. So now that it's coming up, let's quickly do some formatting before that one comes up. So the formatting I want to do is the formatting for my, is here successfully. So I'm going to do formatting for some of the KPIs I want to use right here. Right, let's come over here, open the calculations, and the first thing I want to get is actually average satisfaction, which is this one here. So we have this inside the card. So here we go. Then what do we do to it? We don't want to keep this kind of, is it title or category label? So I will go over here now. I'll go ahead and find a way to turn it off. First of all, the background should be turned off. So we come over here. We go for call out. So we turn off this one. Then we turn on the title. So once we have the title turned on, we can open it up. And what we want to type right in here is going to be AVG, which is AVG here. So it's going to be average satisfaction. So here we go. We have this that appears here. So I'm going to push this in the middle, right? It's very important. So I will definitely scroll a little bit. I'm going to use this one here. And for this, I would love to just use something like this color. Beautiful. So the next thing is for me to actually make it until I have something like this. So what about we looking at how to format this is to bold. So I'm going to actually scroll up a little bit, and here we are, call out, we put it on 20. So you see that? Then we'll leave it on this font. Okay, that is it. So we'll leave this right here. Right, I have gotten everything in. So here I have my average satisfaction. I have my service not rated, 75%. And here I have the overall average wait time of every single patient that actually visited the emergency room. So this is how you should do a setup. So we are cool with this. Let's go into the next one. So over this particular one here, so the very first thing I'm going to do is to actually bring this and have it somewhere around here for now, for the time being. So we're going to use this, but not actually this very kind of, slicer. We're going to use the new slicer. I'm going to show you how to edit it to look more beautiful. All right, we have this here. The axes are not really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start changing the axis I want. So first of all, I want to turn off the title. Then I'll turn off the value. I don't want that. So once I've done that, that is actually for X. Let's do for Y. For Y right now, if you look at it, if I try to do this now, this is not more readable. What do I do? Let's put this on 50%. It's cool. Okay, now we go a little bit down and turn off the title. It's gone. All right, so this is what it is. I'm going to just stretch it a little bit like this. I want something like this to be here. So once I have this, for now, I'm going to just leave it this way. After we brought in our background, we can fix how things should look like. But for now, it's okay. So we need to work with this particular one right here. So on this one, we have to actually control how they look. And what are the looks I'm talking about? The looks I'm talking about right now is actually having it formatted the way it should be. That will fit into what we want. So I'm going to come over here, hold your control key to click both of them. And over here, you can actually change the game. So I put it on 19 now, making it a bit smaller to fit into where we want to keep it. After that, I just want to some kind of remove the, what it is. So remove this one here. So once you remove it, you might be thinking, how do I remember where I have X, Y, and Z. Don't worry, I'm going to show you. So I'll drag this over here now. Let it be at this spot for the time being. So now for we to get what is this and this. So if I click on it right now, you can click over here and this shows you referred patients. Beautiful. Then if you click over this particular one here, this one shows you unreferred patients. So for that, I'm going to just copy this particular previous one we've used. Then Ctrl C and paste will do that for you. So we keep this one over here and we just change it. So for me to keep the formatting, I'll exclude just few. If you take it out, it will take the formatting you have here already. So you would have to do it all over again. So to avoid that, just select some portion of it and we have one letter left. So I'm going to just type in here, referred. And we keep it right here. All right, we're cool with this, right? The next thing now is taking care of this particular part. So I'm going to move it at the top right here. Then I have one more chart to create, which I've never done. So that is going to be looking at our patient based on type of days, maybe weekday or weekend. So we need to actually add this chart here. And I go over here and first of all, I bring in my total patient visit into this. Then the next thing is for me to go to my date and I'm looking for that. Do I have week type? Yes, of course, I have week type. So if you look at what we have here in the week type, so we have more people visiting our hospital for any reason on weekdays than the weekend. Beautiful. So now it is time for we to some kind of have this cleaned a little bit. So we just go over here, you know the drill already. So under the X, we turn off the title. So we can make it bold to show what it is that we have on it. Then I can just go to my Y-axis right straight up. Then I should, don't turn off the value. So my Y-axis here, then we turn everything off. We have this very clean. So now total patient by weekday. Right? We just go ahead and keep this. So if you double click here, it allows you to activate the edit mode. So from here now, you can select the part you don't want to keep. So it's gone. So here we go. I can just go with this week type. I step off, I have something like this. So we can just adjust this a little bit. Okay, we go with this. So on this one, it's going to be here and I'll just stretch it a little bit down. So we just do a rough walk for now. This is what it is that we have. All right, we have a line chart here. This line chart is going to be here. Let's make this smaller and keep it below here for now. Then our line chart looks pretty while staying here. That is nice. Then over here, we have this. Then on this one, we just need to make it a bit smaller. That will be readable. So we have to format it. So we go over to this, no background, and we turn off the category label. We come over here, we put it on 12. So 12, we make it bold. So we select a bold font for this, right? For the color, don't worry, we fix it later. So I'm going to keep it right here for the time being. So on this one here, I'm going to have to change this one to what? Change it to a drop down. So here we go. So the drop down wouldn't have header. Don't worry, we'll see how we can indicate it. Just make it a bit smaller. Now we can see what we have in it. So here we can just move this and have it around here. You see that? Nicely done. Okay, now if you look at it, the settings are almost done. So exclude this one. So on this one, what I'm going to do right now is to actually go ahead and use the new slicer, which is this one here. So it looks just like this. We have to stretch it before we see what we have inside it. So I'm just going to make it a bit smaller now and forget it somewhere around here for the time being while we actually correct others. All right. So over here, we have a card. What this card contains is actually the percentage of the male, female, and the unknown gender that we have right here. We don't know if they are she, female, or she. I don't know, some country practice some kind of, I don't want to go there. So we just want to do something like that. So what do we do? Very simple. We're just going to write a DAX that extract for us the percentage of male and female. And it's something very, very simple. You can pause and write it yourself, test it and see. If you can, that is good. So good development. So what do we do? Have you done that? All right, I'm going to insert a new measure. So inside this new measure here, I'll call it percentage male visit. So equals here. So what I'm going to do quickly is just for me to say, I'm going to divide. So divide here. So inside the division, so what I'm going to do now is I'm dividing. And once I divide, I'm going to have to use my calculate function to only filter the ones I want. I want for male. So I put my total patients visit here. And I try to actually go for gender. Here is my gender. And I say where the gender is equal to male. So M for male. So make sure you know this column that is actually M for male before you do this. Otherwise, it wouldn't work if it is male in M-A-L-E. So once I'm done with this now, I can actually go ahead and close this. And I'll place my comma. For the denominator right here would now be what? So we'll now be dividing this by the total of our patients, value. So which is going to be total here. And I'm going to close this. This gives us the percentage. So you can decide to store it in a variable first and do that. So it's all your choice. You can do it anyhow you like. But right now we've done this. All I just need to do now is to, did I just step off? So now I want to copy this. And after copying this, I'm going to change this one into a percentage. So with this one changed into a percentage, we have two decimal places. I'm going to remove one of it. Come over here and just do one. And that is cool. Then the next thing we have to do right now is to we've copied it, is to actually create a new measure and paste the copied one, then change what we have in it. So we have to change this. The first change here is making this one what? Female. Then the second thing now is to change this one to Earth. That is all we have to do. Then we convert this one to what? To a percentage as well. Okay, before we do the third one, I'm going to show you something. I don't know why that is there, but I think the health center will know why they have that there. So if I go to my data, I click over here and I go straight up to the patient's data set, right? Then I locate the gender. Inside the gender, we have this NC. I don't know what NC means. Maybe NC means something like people practicing, what I'm talking about. So I don't want to call it for YouTube or way of doing their own rules and all of that. So we're going to get strike. So now what I'm going to do right now is to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing. So by creating a new measure. So new measure. So with my new measure right now, I will definitely paste this in and I will just highlight here and I'll put unknown. So over here, that particular NC we saw there will be put in there. So we have just done justification to it. So now we convert this to a percentage. Don't forget to use one decimal place instead of two. I think we've not done that on the other one. All right. So female percentage of male or female here. I'm just going to do this. All right, we have everything we want. So it's time for we to bring them in. So the first thing I'm going to do is to bring in ladies first. Okay, here is my female percentage. So I've gotten my female percentage. The next thing I'm going to do is to some kind of find a way to format it and make it look much more beautiful on what we are doing. So what am I going to do? I'll go over here. I'll go for 18. Beautiful, huh? So I don't actually need to keep this. I'll turn it off. So I'll do this. And I'll keep it somewhere around here. So all I just need to do now is turn off the background first. So we just copy and paste twice. So we have this. On this one, I'm going to change it to male visit. So on this one, I'm going to change it to a non-percentage. Oh no, we have to select this first. All right, we have everything we need right now. Okay, this is what it is. What else? It is time for we to start to get things much more interesting, which is getting this right inside our PowerPoint. So what do? Just go to your Windows and search for Snippet tool. Here we have it. So just hit the Enter key. Now you have this aid here to help you capture your screen. So we're not capturing all the whole screen. We're just selecting some portion of the screen. And I will do New. From New, I'm going to select this particular part right here. And I'm just going to cover it up to this end. You can look at where I just selected. Please make sure you do the same thing to have the same thing I have right now. So this is what we have. What do we do next? We have to save this somewhere. And where is there? Let's go over to File and say Save As. Then we just save it anything we like. So I already have this saved. I'm going to replace that and pick it from there. So good to go. We head up straight up to our PowerPoint. So I'm going to insert a new slide. So you can insert new one. Then here we go. We'll remove this. The very first we're going to do, if I go to the top ribbon, remember mine is some kind of formatted in a different way. You might have this kind of look. So where it's going to be Show tab, and you have this, that is beautiful. So I always love to keep this auto, and where anytime I need something, I go to the top ribbon to pick it up. So right now I'm going to click on Insert. So while inside the insert, I want to go for pictures. And from pictures, I'm going to bring in that image or that screenshot, which is this one here. So we have this. Fit it into here. And just look at what I do. Fill it in. So we've just filled the empty canvas. This is what we have. So what do we do next? It is time for we to start working with this. The very first thing I'm going to do is to actually go up again and go to Insert. I want to get a shape, and the shape should be the one that has this particular curve. Then I'm going to drag it. Can you see? So if I do this now, I wouldn't see what is behind it. So what I need to do now is to right click and go to Format Shape. From Format Shape, I want to do No Outline. Then I'm going to go to Fill. I want to select what? I'm going to select my color. But I wouldn't go with the color for now. I'll reduce the transparency. That gives me what I have behind it. Then I can control what I see. Okay, so going back here now, you can just do this. And I will do the settings this way. I'll make sure I pave way here. So let's bring this a little bit. So I'll just extend this down. Something like this. So we're going to work with this. Let's bring this down a little bit. All right, we have this. So we're done using this particular one here for now. What else? We want to cover these 3 KPIs here. So we go back, and now we select here. We're looking for one kind of shape. Where could we find it? Let's look for it. All right, look at this shape under rectangles. If I hover over this one now, it says rectangle, diagonal, corners, rounded. So I'm going to click on it. So over here, this is what I have. Something like this. So this is what we want to use. So remember what I did the other time? So I'm going to turn off this. So now we just make it transparent so that we can see what is behind it. So we want to get something like this size, and it's beautiful. If this corner here is not really cool, you can hold this place to readjust it to what you want. But right now I'm going to go with this. The next thing I do, duplicate of it. I bring this over here. I have another duplicate of it. I bring this over here. So we can just make sure I move this. This is the space I want to have for it. Let's move it a little bit. So to have equal spacings, you just go over to the top after selecting both of them. You go to align and you distribute horizontally. You get it. So you can align this one to the top or to the bottom. Here we go. Now we have this. So I want to get this one, and I'll come over here. I'll give it to the top here. So I'll make sure I have it on the same size. So let's do this. I'll stretch this to this end. Beautiful. Now that is done. So this one here, I'll duplicate it and I'll bring it over to this place. So I'm going to create a space between this and my card. So we'll just do this and I will bring this down. Just like this. So the curvedness is too much. So I'm just going to reduce it by holding this. Remember, you can move this to give more space. Then we can see better what we're doing. So here we go. So once we're done with that, I want to just get the same thing duplicated over here. Then I bring it up to this part. So bringing it up to this part, I will maintain this and I will just adjust it to this level. So here we go. The same duplicate will come over here to create this for me. So you can use your arrow up and down, left and right to adjust things the way it should be. And now I have a good thing right here. So once we have this, I would love to just take this up a little bit like this here. I want something as small as this. So you can now see I have this space here. The next thing I'm going to do is to just do this copy, and this copy would come over here, whereby I'm going to move this one to resize it on this. Then click on this one, you'll go this way and always keep a white space. If I talk about white space, what is white space? The white space is actually the space between here, 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 and the space between here, and majorly the space that you leave before the edge, and the one at the top right here is absolutely important. With the one that you're going to have to put at the bottom, it's going to make your work to look very much, cool, right? You need those spaces. Okay, now we have this. I'm going to actually extend this down. So I talk about spacing. So I'm going to give a space like this. You get that? So the rounded corner will be reduced just this way. So once I've done that now, I will do under copy again. I'll bring it over here. Then what I'm going to do is to just resize it. And I have it this way. Nicely done. So I have this space in between here. So what am I going to do to it? So it is time for me to just do this. And we go over to here to fill the space. All right? So we just do this. Okay? So we have the space filled. I wouldn't love to use too much of it. Then I'm cool with this. Now I want to extend this a little bit closer to this one. Then while I move this closer, just do what suits you. I think this is cool. But if you look at it right now, something is a bit wrong here. And that is this particular space we have over here. So how do we manage it? So we need to manage this particular space we have. So what do I do? Don't worry, we're going to manage this now. I mean, right now. So I will just copy this and I will make it a bit smaller. I'll fill it up to this level. Like this. It's cool. What I'll do is to select both of them at the same time. Go to the top level here. And over here, you click on Format. Once you're in Format, click on Merge Shape. And here you have Union. So you click on the Union, you have this. Can you see what it is that we have right now? Beautiful. Okay, we are done with all the cards we want to have right here. It is time for remove the one behind it and just delete it. What that does is giving us a guide. So we enjoy that guide it gave us, so it's gone. So pretty nice. The next thing I'm going to do now is to do Ctrl A and come over here, go to my color. So here you can see I put them all back to 100%. Okay, it is time for we to start changing the colors according to what we want to use. So I'm going to click on this. Okay, let me highlight everything. Exclude this one and this one here. For the remaining one, I'll change it to this color. Something like this. So I would like to give some kind of transparency to it because I don't like it to be as dark as this. So I'm just going to reduce it a little bit. It will look lighter, just like this. So if I step off now, we have something like this. It might not look much beautiful. What do we do to them? So we can do Ctrl A again and select them. And the next thing is for me to remove some part of it, like this one and this one from it. So once I have done that, what else do I need? I can go over to here and go to Shadow, and I'll apply this particular one that says Offset Center. So all I'm going to do is to reduce it so much that you wouldn't know that we have something like that here. So I'm going to put it on 93. Okay, let's go 96. So now it appears very well this way. I love it. Okay, once we are done, it is time for we to actually make use of our colors, right? Then the first color I'm going to use is to click on it. And here we go. We have this color. So I'm just going to copy and I'll take it down to here, then paste it down here. So I'll just use the Format Painter to get a copy of it and I'll have it on this one. So the second one again is actually I'm going to delete this one for now. Going back over here and I'll copy this one, Ctrl C. I'll come here, I'll paste it and I'll go to the top. I'll grab this. Then over here, I'll give it to this one. Can you see that? So unfortunately, this is not the card I want to be here. I'm going to have it deleted. So I want this same card to come down there. So I'm going to bring it all the way here. So I'll stretch it until I have it sitting right for me. So we have a guide that is some kind of dotted red line that will be vertical and horizontal. That gives you a guide to tell you that, okay, what you're doing is a good match. You can release. So I'll go over here again. Now, this is what I want to have. Can you look at that? So we don't want to keep this one again. So we can now delete. So on this one, I'm going to have to duplicate it into two. I'll move this one over here. Then for this particular one here, we want to use the same color, like this same color we used here, which is this one. Then for this particular one here, I'm going to convert this one to white. Then this one will be placed above this one, like this. Then we're going to actually make sure we show part of it, like this. And over here, I will just adjust it. So we'll have something like this card we have here. Do you get it now? So on this particular part, we have a transparency previously before now, but the transparency is gone. So we can leave it this way. I want to make this one a bit darker than the other. What do? You can come over here and select this one. So now reduce the transparency to reduce the darkness a little bit. And we keep the same thing to this one here. We just make them stand out a little bit. You get it now. Okay, now we are almost done. The next thing we're going to do right now is to go all the way back here and go to insert. And from insert, we click on the same shapes. Now we click on circle. If I drag my circle like this, I will lose the perfect circle I need to draw. So what I'm going to do right now is to go back and click on the circle. Before you drag your circle, just click on your shift key or hold your shift key down. Now you have a perfect circle. So you can reduce it to whatever size you want. So I'll bring my circle right here. So it's too much. I'm going to hold my shift to reduce it. Now I'm going to be working with this one here. Bring it down a little bit. So I'll have it duplicated. Move it here, duplicate it, and move it over here. So now select all of them, go up and go to align, and you align them to the top. Here you go. So after this now, we need to change their color. I'm going to come over here and copy this again. Then go over here, paste it down. And all I need to do is to get this, and I'll give it to this one. Let's say over here. Then I can get it out. We don't need to see you again, sorry. So if I click on this, and now we just need this same color. And the next one, again, if I click on this, we need to use this very color. So we have some outline on them. So make sure you hold them all and go to line and have the line removed. So this has gone off with my Ctrl Z. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it again. Now we have this. What do I have here? How many times do I have it double? Okay, remove this one. And we're just going to go ahead and do this. Okay, this is what we have. The same thing I've done right here, right now. I'm going to get a copy of this one and bring it all the way down here for my gender. So I'll place it right here. So over here, we have this. And if I Ctrl D to duplicate it, I have this one beneath here. I bring it over here and do on that one again. So this is pretty big for me. Huge. So I'm going to have to remove everything now. And I'll reduce this a little bit before I duplicate it. Something like this will be fine. So we can do this. And we can do this. So once we are done, hold your control to select all of them. And let's go to the top. Go to format. And from format, we use this particular, where the heck is it? Click on format. We use align and we distribute horizontally. We now come back again vertically. So it gives us this. So on this one here, I'm going to use a white color. So on the top one here, I'm going to use that color. Then over here, I'm going to use the green, light green color. So what about this? Okay, if you enjoyed this, please leave a thumbs up for me and share. Like, if you have not subscribed, you just have to do that. So we have this. We are good to go. It is time for you to visit our Power BI. But one more thing to go. We need some couple of images over here, here, here. So here, here, and here. So let me show you the site where you can get your images for free. So let's go to our browser. All right, over here, you can actually search for flaticon.com. So here is the URL, flaticon.com. So flaticon.com is actually a free, website. You can actually create your icons without any background. So you can create of normal icons, or you can create an animated icon. So here we go. I'm going to search for man. So here we go. We just click and enter. So it's working on it. So we have lots of images that you can actually choose from right now. Can you see this now? So you can choose this one. Once you click on it, you click on PNG. So you click on download, all for free. Do you even need to sign up? I guess no. It's 100% free. So you can decide to take the colorful one or this kind of one. This one fits into what I want to do. I'm going to go with this. Already I have all my icons downloaded and we just need to go ahead and use it. So all I'll do, once you have gotten your icons downloaded, come over here and go to insert, and from insert, click on pictures to pick them up. So download. So I have this icon, this right here, this one. I think the ISO, I'll just import it in. So we can just do this adjustment like this. Okay, so individually I can start moving them, separating them, separating them, separating them. This icon is going to be my logo, so you can just transform it anyhow you like that can fit into this particular space you have right here. So I'm going to have this one somewhere around here, then that is it. So make it a bit smaller and fit it into here. So after that, now we come over here. So you always make sure you make it fit into what you want. So I'm gonna move it and have it over here. Then for this one here, for my gender, I would love to actually have this for the female gender over here. That fits in a lot. For the male gender, I will do this. I'll bring this over here. Then for the unknown gender, I'll just get this icon, make it smaller, and push it in over here. Now, this one is actually service not rated. That is why I have this arrow down. So I'm going to move it right to this particular spot here. So I have a thumbs up. I didn't have it right here. I think that is that one that says appreciation, right? So we go over to insert and go to picture. So we scroll down. Here we have this appreciation here. So we just make it a bit smaller. So if you look at this now, if I put it over where I want to put it right now, it won't be visible just like this. So what do? We have to change its color. So all I have to do is just to right click and go to picture, and we are here. The next thing we do now is to click on this particular picture here, then click on picture color, and we click on this part, and now we choose a bright color. Something like this looks better, right? This is all we have to do to create our template or our background. We have just done the justification. The next thing now is to actually export this out to whatever file size we want to use, or file format rather. So I'll click over here, then go to file. From file now, we have to go to export. From export, we go to change file type, and you have two options over here. You have the PNG, we have the JPEG right here, and we have the GIF. If you click on if you click on this particular part where it says save as another file type, so you can use the GIF file format to save it. It's all your choice. So I'm gonna go with this particular this one here. So I'll double click it. So now that we're here, what I'm gonna do is just to say BG or background. Okay, let's go with BG 01. So now I'll save it in here. So just say just this one. Then once you're done, the next thing is for we to go and visit our Power BI desktop. All right, we are right here on our Power BI desktop. Click on your format. Once you've clicked on your format, make sure you don't have anything selected like charts. Don't select any chart right here. Just leave it the way it is. If you select chart, what you see here will be different. So if you select nothing, just click on the empty canvas, then you're going to see this option right here where you can actually, canvas settings, background, the wallpaper. Don't use this. What you're going to be using is the background right here. So click on it and go over here. Then after that, now you can click on this. Oh, what the heck? Where is it? Oh, don't worry. Don't be panic. I'm going to show you. Now, make sure you turn this one to 0%. And that will definitely give you this. Beautiful, right? So now it's not looking cool anyway. It's not looking very, very cool. What do we do? How do we adjust things? Let's start our creation from here. Now I'm going to click on this and remove its background. By coming over here, I have the background clicked on. I've removed it. So quickly we click on this and just move it down this way, right? So once we have moved it down, so we can click on this same thing here and move this down. Okay, then we can just move this to this level, and then we move this to this level here. Then we can now move this down like this. All right. So if I click on this one now, I would have to go and create a duplicate of it. So its duplicate will do something for me. That is going to be, so total patients visits. So we stretch it. So we can Control A to make it a bit bolder. I'm going to use 16. So we settle it down right here. So target the middle. This is what we have. So right now, I'm going to have to move this. Then we come over here to change the color. It's time to work with our colors, right? So come over here. We do this. Let's go with this. Okay, something like this will be cool. I love it. Okay, now let's look at this here. This one, click on it and make sure you know. This is administrative schedule, right? We get it right. Then if I click on this, we have to verify this is none and it's correct. For the none, I would love to use a different color. And that would make me to start going back to if you remember the color code, you don't need to do that. So you have to go back to your PowerPoint to pick the color code. But right here, we know the color code, or we know the kind of color we're looking for. So I'll just click over here. I'll select something like this that corresponds to this, but something like that shows up very well. So we do this brightly, right? Then I'm cool with that. So I select this now. I want to use a color that looks like this one, this particular background right here. Unfortunately, we don't have a color picker, but I can just try to guess it's right? If I do this now, I can just say, okay, this is the color here. I'm going to use this color, right? So we'll release it. All right, if you remember, we actually brought in this particular sparkline in the class Referral. So we have the sparkline here. For the sparkline to work, we need, two things. That is the average satisfaction and the month. So what I'll do is to come here now, and I will locate my average satisfaction right here. So once I have it, I will go to the date. From the date, I'm going to pick the month here. That gives me this. So now I have to some kind of adjust it. It's not looking very beautiful. What can I do? I'm going to go to the format. From the format, I need to turn off the category label. Then I have something like this. So I'll make it a bit smaller. So drag it to the three dots here and make sure it sits right at where you want it to be. Just adjust it. All right, we have this. If you look at it now, we have background distorting it. All we have to do is to go to size and style and we turn off the background. Quickly, we can do copy and paste. So when we do copy and paste, we bring this over here, right? And the only thing we're going to change now is the satisfaction. That is going to be this one here. I think it's going to be service not rated, right? So we just change the measure alone. So we change it to service not rated. That is going to be under this one here. So not written, percentage of not written. So quickly we actually get another duplicate of it and we bring it down to this particular part. So what we're trying to achieve here is looking at the trend on a monthly basis, how it goes. So quickly over here, we are changing this one to be our average waiting time. So here we go. So you can see the trend of average waiting time. So once we have done this, the next thing now is to make sure this one sits right to show the, yes, I'm going to bring this one down. Then this one as well, we bring it down to this level. Okay, here we go. So we have something like this. So spend some time adjusting the formatting to suit what you really want to have. So you get, that is it. Here we go. Spend some quality time adjusting all of this. Very important. So as you can see now, it's taking shape, but not really fine the way we want it. Okay, the next thing now is for me to click on this, hold your Control key to select this as well, and go ahead to the format. From the format, you can see where it says style, size and style. We turn off the background. Good. So we can move it down a little bit to this level here. So manually, we can change what we want. Let me bring this down. So we have this one controlled first. Okay, for the label at the top, we need to actually move it down and fit it into here. So we come over here, we bring this all the way to this level. All right, so the dark color here is cool, but not that cool for me. I would need to work on it. Click over here and select something like this. Let's see, beautiful. So let us make it a bit darker. We go for this one, better. Okay, it is time to work with this. If I just go ahead now and align it, I'll bring this over, stretch it over here. I will go for my size and style. I'm gonna have to turn it off. All right, the next thing we're gonna do right now is going for data label and turn it on. We have something like this. So I would love to show it fully. Then what I need to do now is to make sure I have it opened and I go for where I can actually select the option I want. So go to values, and if you scroll down under values, you see this option. So display none. Then you have this. All right, I would love to show the green color, which we have over here. It's not really easy for me to pick it up right now. What you can do is to come over here on this one, and here we go. We have it right here. We can take it and make sure we adjust it to fit what we want. So quickly click on this particular chart. So once you click on this chart, you go to the bars. So you scroll down a little bit. So here we go. So we can pick the color here. So it's a bit different from what we have at the top here. We want to get this exactly. What can we do? Can we find a way to get that done? So once we click here now, we can start adjusting things up to this level. Let's try this and see. Okay, it's still a bit. I'll just go remove things over here. Now, very close to it. This is exactly what we want. Okay, we have this particular chart here. We have a line chart that we have to some kind of take control of. So all I'm going to do right now is to come over here and turn off the background for it. No background. Then next thing again is for me to go for the label, sorry, the color. So we need to go to the line. From the line, we look for where we can find the color and change the color we want to use for it. All right, we have the color here. Click on the colors. So I'm going to change the color to this. Yes, to this one here. We have something like this. Quickly, we click on this one. And the very first thing we're going to do is to actually change the bars right here. So when you click on the bars, it opens up this one for you. So we select this very color. So we do the same thing to this particular one. We select the same color for it. So now let's format this properly. So I'm going to turn off the background, including this very one here. I have it turned off. So if I click back on this one now, I want to make sure I align it, and the title should be aligned properly with this one here. So I'm going to do the same thing to this particular one. Beautiful. So now if I click back on this one, all I need to do now is going down straight up to where I can actually turn on the data label for it, which is this one here. Then you know the drill. We're going to use none under value. You scroll down a little bit, you display the unit, and you choose not for it. Beautiful, huh? So if you think it doesn't pop out well, you can do bold. Then let's do bold for this one as well. You can do bold. That pops it out, right? Then we do the same thing for this one. On for this one, we are going to go ahead and turn this on. Then we scroll down a little bit and we place this one on bold. All right, if you look at this now, I want to do something. I want to use this color here for one of it. So like for the weekend, I want to change the color to be a bit different. Then I go straight up to where we have the colors. Then all I just need to do is to turn on this here, and I have this. So once I have this now, I can individually change the color I want. For my weekday, I'll leave it at this. For my weekend, I would like to go a bit different. Let's choose a darker form of it. Beautiful, huh? All right, this is what we have right now, and we are beginning to get it right. So clicking on this one now, I have to properly align it right here and make sure it sits right. And the next thing I do is to go to my line. And if I scroll down on the line, I have these two here. I'm going to change it to this one here and click on this. So now we have the color the way it should be. I want to change the chart I'm using to this particular area chart right here, and that gives me something different. So this is what we have. For our area chart, we can control what we see on the area chart. Specifically this particular one, I want to reduce the transparency. What do I do? Shade area. Then here we have it on 9%, 0% looks darker. I'm going to reduce it to this level, and I have something like this. This is beautiful. Okay, if we are done with this, the next thing we are going to do right now is to scroll a bit up, click on size and style, and turn off the background. That makes it look okay for me. Good. So now it's taking shape. We're getting there. Now look at this particular place here. Just hold your control key and select all of them. Quickly go to where you can actually have the color changed. So I'll come here and I'll select this. So nicely done. So after getting that, we have to properly align them. I'm going to bring this one a bit down here. So you can use the up and down arrow to fix things the way it should be. I'll bring this one down as well. Then I'll come over here. I will bring this one down. All right, now the first thing I'm going to do is to actually get this duplicated. So in Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, that pastes the one you have copied for you. You come right here and you drop it in. So what I'm going to do right now is to type in gender breakdown. So gender breakdown, I'm going to Ctrl-A. So from 16, let's have it on 14. Beautiful, huh? So we change the color. Let's make the color a bit brighter to this. So for gender breakdown, can just make it this way. Then once we are satisfied with what we have, we can actually paste another one and drag it up from there. So over here, we are going to do male. So for male, we don't want to have something as bold or as this. So I'm going to go for 12. So before we do that, Control A to highlight it, go for 12. So we have 12 here. So we change the color to white, this one. So we can make it a bit smaller. So bring it over to this place. So all I'm going to do right now is just to make a copy of it and move it down. So we want to make sure that we are actually at the right gender. So for this one, we turn it to male, to female rather. So female, we stretch it. Then we paste a new one. And this one is going to be unknown. So the gender of this one is not known. Maybe he, she, male, or whatever, I don't know. So unknown. So I've told you, spend some time formatting this. I think I've just done something good here. Better. All right, we are right here. You click on this. Let's reduce it to like 11. I'm going to make sure I change the color. Let's use a different color. I'm going to click over here. What if we use something like this? Something like this will be cool. All right, here we go. So for this one, we have here a slider drop down. So I'm going to click on the value area. Rather, go on the size and style and turn off the background. Once I'm done, here we go. We have this. So if I open it up right now, this is what we have inside. So if you don't want to have this color, what you can do is to change the color from white to any color you want that would fit your dashboard. But right now, this is what I want to have on it. Okay, now how do you make people understand what exactly is here? Let's go to the previous dashboard we've built before this one, which is this particular one right here. If you look at it right now, this is what we have. Very clean, just like what we have just left that we both created together, right? So now I'm going to have to some kind of say, okay, select. When I say select, that actually prompts whoever is using the dashboard to select something from here and make a switch. That is exactly what we are going to do. So let's quickly go back here and we're going to paste a new one we've copied from here before. And under this one here, I'm going to type in here, select. For the select, I Control A, I can highlight it, Control A, and I just have to make it on 16. And for the color, let's do something like this here. So we might decide to bring it down a little bit. So if we do that, what we're going to do right now is to click on this one and make sure we bring it down a bit as well. Okay, here we go. We have this. We have this here. The next we're going to do right now is, if you look at this particular part here, we do not have the title for it. We have to put a title. And to put in the title is very, very simple. I'm just going to get this one copied. So Control C and Control V to paste it. Then we bring it up here. Straight up, I'm going to have to stretch it. So Control A, I'm going to do here. So I want something on a theme and I want the font to be on this. So I'm going to stretch it this way. So I am going to move it close to this icon I have here. So on this particular one, I'm going to select it, and if I can make it bold, beautiful. So I'm going to use this very color for it. So for this particular one here, I'm going to select it. Then I use a different color, like this color we have right here. Then we do the same thing to this one here. Let's go with this color. So let's find out how it looks. Nice. We have one more thing before we go. That is our slicer here. You know, we can't forget this. So this slicer is actually the new slicer that Power BI just rolled out of recent. So we just have to make sure we touch it. But before we touch that slicer, if you look at this now, it's not looking pretty fine because what? Here, now, we have white background that overlay the, the background we have, the real background we have. So what are we going to do to it? So let me just stretch this here. So once I've stretched it, I'm going to stretch this a little bit up here. Then we have to touch this part. So quickly, I'm going to touch my grid lines. I will turn it on. Then I'm going to put it on 2, for example. That opens this up for me, right? So here I have something like this. I'm going to come over here now and let's do this. Okay, we select that. For the value here, if you look at the value part, we have background for value and it's on white. Let's choose this color. So we select the alternate background, which is this one is on white. Let's choose the same color. That gives me something not really quite what I want. So what I'm looking forward to having is actually something that looks like the main background because I want to actually bring the background up. So what can we do? We have to go ahead and copy the same background we have, use the same color if we can't really understand what color is it. All right, as you can see, here is the color. All I just have to do is to go ahead and bring the color code over. Here we go. We choose the color code. So we can go ahead. So if you don't have the hex code on your own, all you have to do is to understand what the color code is. Red is 2424, and all of it is 2424. So we're going to use that. Let's quickly go back to our Power BI desktop. So on our Power BI desktop, when I click on this over here, I'm going to click over here. So I'm going to do 242 and 242 again. We do 242. This is it. So now this is the hex code for 242. And if I copy it and I come over here, I paste it down in here, that has changed this for me. So what I'm going to do quickly now is go over to my grid. So we come over here. We're going to use the same 242 over here. That is beautiful, huh? So now here we go. We have something like this. Now quickly for the header, it's not standing out at all. We want to change it. So what we're going to do right now is column header here. So for column header, we can a bit increase it like this, huh? Then we go ahead and change the backgrounds to look more like this one that's separated from the background for the main background we have. You get it? Okay. Now, if I change it from here to different one like this one right now, this is what we have. So right away, I'm going to have to fill this particular gap here. So all I need to do is just to stretch this particular part. That is beautiful. So we have something like this. Do you get it now? So it's looking much more okay. So nicely done. If you're very much satisfied with what we have done here, let's go ahead and start formatting this one. On the format of this one, what we're going to do now is we have clicked on it. The very first thing we're going to do is to actually turn off the data label. And you look at it, if I start to do this now, it's some kind of, getting this started. So first of all, I'm going to turn off the title. We don't need it, right? So let's go to the slicer settings here. And what you have now is actually select a single selection. I'm going to turn off the single selection so we can select multiple. That is good. So we have the shape. On the shape, we click here. You can select this particular kind of shape. So you have the ability to actually change it to what you want. If I click over here now, you can actually, mess around with what we have here. But here we go. Can you see it now? Can you see? Already only one top left is actually the one that is, this way. Like, I love it. So let me leave it that way. I can close it and go to the layout here. Under the layout, you want to see how many rows you want to have. So let's have more than that. So I'm going to have just 2 columns. For 2 columns, I fill this, right? So you have this particular part to play with to know what exactly it is. So if you don't play with this, you wouldn't know what it is or what it does. Mostly, if you're just scared of like, I don't know how to use it. So coming here now, when we do this, it's still getting distorted. What do we do? Let's close the layout here. So here we go for shape, close the shape, overflow here. You can see, go right here and test it out and see what it does. It's a new stuff. You just have to explore. All right. In order to fill this particular place up, let's go back to layout. On the layout, we turn this 1 to 1. That filled is up for us, right? So we can now come here and make it this way, right? But don't allow the text to disappear. Then we can do stuff like this. Now we have achieved this, but we don't actually want to leave our button like this. We want to make it a fill of a website, right? Yeah. So let's do something. Click on it. Close it. And when we get to the button here, we can play around with the button. Now, if you want border, we can have border. We turn off the border. It looks plain as this. All right. So if I scroll a little bit down here now, we have, okay, so here we have it, accent bar. I'll turn it on. So we can now choose the position we want that to be. Open it up and let's choose the position. Now we have it at the left-hand corner. We can decide to have it at the bottom. This is what we want, right? So I'm going to make it some kind of not too appeared this way, right? So what I'm going to do next now is go to the state here. I'm going to choose selected. For the selected one, I want to go ahead and release the transparency, put it on full. So now if I hover over it, nothing happens. By the time I select now, we have the state to be like this. When we have a selection, we don't want to have a field color. We want to remove the field color. So we put it on selected and we change the field color to blank. So when we change the field color to blank, what happens to the text we have on it? That means we have to touch the text we have on it. So we locate where we have the callout value right in. So the callout value here. So we go, where the heck is that? So let's choose the selected as well on the callout value. Now we can now choose a dark color. Can you see it now? We have a dark color. So we can even make it bold because we have selected it, right? Or you can unbold it and come over here, select under font that will look bolder when we are under selection. We have something like this. You get it now. So if this is what you want, let us reduce this like this. Okay. So let's say we are cool with this. When we hover over it, nothing happens. But when we are under selection, what we have selected has more bold underline. Then if I go ahead and click on both of them now, which means both of them are selected. If I deselect AM, only PM is selected. So I want that PM that is selected to have something like this particular kind of red color, wherever. So I'll go down again to the what? Go down to what the heck is it? We go down to the accent. So here is it. So I'm going to come here when this is the case. So I'm going to have this for it. That marks the selection for me. So for the weight, I can increase the weight just like this. Beautiful, right? So how about this? So if I select both of them, I have this. You don't need to hold the control key to select both of them. So if you want to deselect, just click on this one. If you don't want to deselect this one as well, click on this one. Nothing is selected now. It's just plain. By the time you select this, you have that particular red underline that underlines it for you, which means you have made selection. Do you get it now?